Inspiring stories from outstanding business people. Dan Delmar and FL Montreal's Josh Miller with you for today's Entrepreneur. And we'll get to our guests for this evening, Avi Levy and Bernard Lévy-Soussan of Ticket911. You probably heard them on CJAD over the years. Avi and Bernard, welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening.
So first, easiest question, what is Ticket911?
Ticket911 is a law firm specializing in fighting traffic violations, DUIs, and criminal charges that are similar in that area, driving related mainly, DUI, that kind of stuff.
But it's kind of more than that. It's really an online platform. It's not like you get a ticket and you call and you figure things out. There is an online aspect.
Correct. You can go online. You can purchase the package online. You can retain our services online. You can send court dates, messages, questions back and forth online. Yes, it is a portal, if I can call it that.
What about offline? You know, when you first started this business, did you really get there to drive the online platform? You want it to be quite different than a bunch of other attorneys out there, correct?
Absolutely. At the beginning, that's what we wanted. But initially, before it started, we were getting a lot of phone calls, obviously, because the website wasn't created at that time.
Now, what was the background? I mean, you guys just didn't hop into the to the law chair at first. You definitely had some experience in this. So, Avi, what was their background before getting in?
Right. So I was general counsel for a software company which was very active on the internet, and I saw quite a few things. You know, I learned quite a few things from that position. And basically, what I wanted to do was take what I learned over there and see how I can apply it to my profession as a lawyer, and sort of came up with the concept of prepaid services for that specific market, prepaid legal services for that specific market.
Had you seen prepaid services in that market before?
Not really. I mean, there were competitors in the business before, and they had a website, and it existed on a small scale. But I took what I learned in my previous position,
Software life,
right? Previous software life, previous career, and sort of applied it to the law, and sort of looked at what I liked and what I didn't like as a lawyer, as a traditional lawyer, and try to tailor it so that I can get more of what I like and less of what I didn't like.
And Bernard, what was your background before you got in this?
I had the experience as a prosecutor. So I had 16 years working in municipal courts in this field of tickets and criminal files, basically.
So as just to kind of get into the mindset, 16 years as a prosecutor for a public entity, where's the moment there you say, you know what, I want to go out on my own, I want to become an entrepreneur?
Well, I was approached by Avi, a good friend of mine at the time, and he came up with this idea, which I believe was very, very interesting, having seen how many tickets there were, how many people needed these types of services, and I immediately embarked in it.
Now, before you get into this business, guys, do you do any research? Do you kind of have some type of business plan? Do you say, you know what, there's certain number of tickets out there? Like, how much was it on faith, and how much was it on hard data getting into this business?
Listen, I'd have to say a lot of it was on faith, but a lot of it was also just the day-to-day life that, for example, Bernard lived. I mean, when I spoke to Bernard about this, he would tell me, Avi, every single day people are calling me for advice. Every single day people need help on their tickets, and they really don't know how to fight them themselves, and there's no real solution out there.
And the reality, if I can continue on that line, the reality is that there are thousands and thousands of tickets being issued throughout the province on a daily basis. So I was managing one courtroom where we had hundreds of cases per day. If you multiply this by the amount of courts everywhere, it's an astronomical amount.
So sometimes, Josh, we see a lot of entrepreneurs who are in the public sector spot some kind of inefficiency and then make a business out of it. Is that where you're coming from?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
is there something wrong with the system, the way that we're handing out tickets?
I wouldn't say there's something wrong with the system, but there was something for us to jump into it and grab.
There was an opportunity, I believe, that we saw that there wasn't something wrong with the system. There was sort of something wrong with the way the law firms were running at the time. They were running the same way. It was, pay in advance, pay by the hour, we'll see what happens. And it was very uncertain for the client.
That's actually an excellent concept because, a lot of professionals, us included to a certain degree, it's an hourly rate. How do you get beyond that hourly rate? How do you price yourself? How do you know that, say, you know what, we got to start value billing, we got to start have this fixed fee? What was that kind of aha moment that you got to?
Well, at the beginning, I sort of saw how people reacted when you told them it would be this much an hour. How long would it take? Well, I don't know. I have to first finish the case. People were not that comfortable with that. People were not that trusting. People were not that willing to go ahead. When you tell them, this is the price, this is what I'm going to do. If you need me to do more, we'll talk about it at that point. There'll be an additional fee, but you can stop at any time. All of a sudden, that sort of changed everything. And now their comfort level went up to the point where they were willing to go ahead and register and pay and try it because they were happy with the result. They were happy with the fact that if they didn't want to continue, they can pull the plug, so to speak, at any time.
How did you determine your pricing when you first went out and you're creating the online packages?
Well, that was difficult. It was trial and error, and we sort of had to see what value we were giving the clients, and we had to give a price that was good enough for them to want to jump in, but at the same time, enough for us to be able to make a living out of it. So we wanted the price to be attractive enough to be able to attract the people that thought they couldn't otherwise afford a lawyer.
How long ago did you start this business?
6 years ago.
Have you changed the price from 6 years ago to today?
One time.
Halfway through recently?
I would say maybe 4 years ago, and we haven't changed our price in the last few years.
Now, as you're thinking of it, I don't know what the trigger was to change that price for the first time, but do you have kind of an idea in your head of how many years should go by before you alter your pricing or your package terms?
We really go with the market and we go with the clients and we sort of see what people, we listen to the feedback. We listen to our client feedback and we sort of gauge it from there, and we see what, where the threshold is and where the breaking point is. And we always want to be below that breaking point.
More on marketing, technology, and other subjects with Avi Levy and Bernard Lévy-Soussan of Ticket911, our guest this evening on Today's Entrepreneur. Plus, a little bit later, Patrick Sullivan joins us on spotting fraud in your business.
For professional advice with a personal touch, consult F.L. Fuller Landau, Chartered Professional Accountants and Business Advisors. Click on flmontreal.com.
Welcome back to Today's Entrepreneur, a program about the entrepreneurial spirit that drives Quebec business. My name is Dan Delmar, along with FL Montreal's Josh Miller. In a little bit, we'll talk to FL's Patrick Sullivan about how to spot fraud in your business. But first, we're talking with Avi Levy and Bernard Lévy-Soussan of Ticket911. Josh, another example of someone working in the public sector, finding a systematic flaw there and creating a whole business out of it.
No question. But and as you created a business, you guys started about 6 years ago. From scratch, out of an idea. Let's talk a little bit about the marketing you did from the outset until today. What did you do at first to get your name Ticket911? Was it always Ticket911 from the beginning?
Yes, it was always Ticket911.ca from the beginning. And what we started to do at first, if I may, is we started in print ad. And
how did that work for you?
We started various things. It worked okay, but it wasn't really... It worked okay, but we were looking for something more, and then we switched to radio at one point, and I think that's where we found our home. That's where we found our area to advertise, and that's sort of what clicked, I think, with our clients the most.
You still use radio today?
We still do.
Now, what about the online, the social media, the Facebook, the Twitter? Do you use that?
Yes, we do, absolutely. I mean, from the beginning also, we've used Google Ads and Google AdWords. It's important.
So do you believe in paying to boost your posts and all that, like the Google AdWords are paying for a
there are
boost?
various things that we do, but we definitely advertise online as well as on the radio, because I think it's part and parcel of our business, being an online business.
Did you do that from the get-go? Like, you started with radio and print at the beginning. How far into your business did you get into the kind of the social media or online marketing? Was also fairly early?
From the beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning. Having come from a background, like I say, from the internet and whatnot, I sort of knew the value and I saw the value there, and I knew that was important to get started. Whereas most lawyers, to be perfectly honest with you, were not doing that at all. And when I spoke to Bernard about it, he looked at me like I was a little bit crazy. But having come from that world, I understood the value and what it would bring in.
Now, do you do that on your own? Did you hire outside parties? How much was kind of in-house versus using third parties?
We started a little bit on our own, but very quickly we gave it to various parties outside to handle because it just grew to be too much.
Do you still use the same people today as you used a few years ago?
We change them around every once in a while to make sure they keep on performing.
But they follow your direction. It's really...
They do, and they give us some of their own advice as well. Of course, we listen to them being the experts, but we just put in our own input, and we sort of like to see what works. It's trial and error. It's tweaking a lot of the time.
How much time do you guys spend personally on social media and trying to help, get followers and all that? Do you put in your own personal time with that?
We
or
do.
You will rely really on the third party.
We do put in some time. We do think up some different campaigns and whatnot. We're definitely active in our own marketing campaigns. That's for sure. A lot of it does come from us, and we definitely listen to the experts as well that have advice for us.
Now, part of marketing, there's no question, especially the online. There's analytics. There's really measuring who's following you and who's online and who's opening, who's clicking through. Do you guys? Do you measure what happens online in the
Absolutely. It's very, very important, and we do this on a regular basis.
Is there any trends that you've seen over the years, or has it really been pretty consistent from the beginning?
I'd say that it's pretty consistent. It's sort of a slow and steady pace. And it just keeps going up and up and up. And basically, word of mouth and our good work definitely is what does a lot of it and is what brings back a lot of the clients. I mean, you could advertise as much as you want. If you don't end up getting the results at trial, you're not going to get the clients and you're not going to get the repeat clients.
So does that mean you have tested, like what works for you online? Do you have testimonials? Do you have, results or stats? Do you share any of that?
I mean, to be honest with you, word of mouth seems to work very well. We do share to a certain extent some of our testimonials or some of our stories when we can, mainly anonymous, obviously, because we can't give the details. But I'd say word of mouth is our best tool. I mean, once you've made a client happy, they go and tell 5 other people. There's no amount of advertising that can be as convincing as the person that you saved.
Now, we'll switch gears a little bit. It's just not the two of you guys. You do have a group of people and a team around you. How many people are you today at Ticket911?
We're probably between 15 to 20 employees.
But at the very beginning, it was just the two of you.
Pretty much.
Yes.
Was there an evolution, a very steady growth over the past 6 years, or was there a spike along the way?
It was a regular pace increase in terms of employees.
Now, how do you maintain? Are you still informal with your group? It's one thing if you're 5, 7 people. As you get to 15, 20 people, do you feel you have to be a little bit more formal in your policies? And I mean, not to you guys are a couple of lawyers. You follow the rules to a great degree. Do you make those rules for your people as well?
Well, like any well-rounded business, you have to have procedures in place. But we are very close to our employees, and it works very well for us.
You guys responsible for hiring and firing?
Yes, to a certain extent, yes, we are.
You have a right-hand person that helps you with that, or
we do, but we vet all of the candidates that come through to get hired, especially
lawyers.
Yeah.
So when it comes to lawyers, it's us making the decision. Basically.
So what do you look for in a lawyer? Is it only skill, or do you look for other attributes?
We look for other attributes. We look for a little bit the attributes that we have in ourselves. So we look for go-getters. We look for people that are motivated, and we look for people that want to make a difference. And it's not always easy to find.
No, for sure not. What about culture within your firm? Have you maintained the same culture from the two of you to now close to 20 of you all together?
I think that we can say that we have. We like to keep it very friendly, very homey. It's a nice atmosphere. We spend time with the employees. We do activities with them. You want to bond and sort of build a nice team.
What activities has kind of worked for you guys that really resonated with your team?
Oh, we've taken the team from axe throwing down the street, to
You're not in front of the axe, right?
No, we try not to be, but all kinds of activities that sort of release the stress and sort of build a closer, tighter team, because we do work together with them, and it is quite stressful at times. So it's nice to be able to just relax with the same team as well.
Now we only have a couple of minutes left before our next break, but technology. You guys built a website. You built the online platform. You guys are not programmers. You come from the law field, the law background. How was it dealing with the programmers, the online, the web developers?
Again, thankfully, I came from a background where I had to deal with them previously, making contracts and whatnot. So I sort of learned on someone else's watch how that works. And that probably saved us, tens of thousands of dollars for sure. And it definitely made us who we are today. I mean, most lawyers, like you say, don't have that frame of mind, don't think about building software or whatnot. And we sort of looked at the architecture of the platform and figured, this is going to have to be able to carry us forward when we have thousands of clients. And
if somebody was building an online platform today, what would you tell them should be the first or second thing they should think about? Other than, I come from a software background, so use your knowledge then. What do you think, the first? Is it the behind, the kind of the behind the scenes aspect? Is it the front, the user friendliness? Like, what would you...
A bit of everything, I think.
But there's got to be, like, the first. Like, what are the
guts? Trick, I think, is really to get it all put together, to get the front end and to get the back end all put together so it looks as one and it works as one and it flows nicely. So we did redo the website a few times to try to perfect that more and more each time we did it.
But you didn't wait till it was perfect before you launched.
No, you could never do that because we would have never launched. We'd still be waiting. So the bottom line is that you do have to at one point say, okay, I'm going to start, and you've got to, put the gears into motion, so to speak.
Do you still tweak it today?
Absolutely.
We definitely still tweak it today.
Still have the same developers today as you did back then?
No, we don't. We've changed developers a few times along the way for different reasons, but we're definitely still tweaking it, and I think we'll be tweaking it for as long as we're behind the scenes, because it's never going to be perfect, and there's always some corrections and some modifications and some ameliorations you could make. We started off just doing Quebec, the province of Quebec, then we added Ontario, then we added New York State, because all of those go together. If you're a Quebec driver and you have a reciprocal agreement with those different states or provinces, you need to be able to deal with them, whereas before, the lawyers in Quebec would basically deal with the cases in Quebec. And if, a Quebecer got a ticket in New York, he had to go find a law firm in New York that would maybe speak French to them. We fixed that problem. We cater to that market.
As we approach the last moment of our show, as we do every week, we'll turn to Avi and Bernard and ask each one of you, what would be your one piece of advice for today's entrepreneur?
My late dad gave me a lot of advices in life. And one that stuck by me was to love what you do. And if you do love what you do, you won't feel that you're working a day in your life.
Excellent. Thank you, Bernard. And Avi?
You've got to have a dream, and you've got to be able to go after that dream, and you have to monitor your progress on a regular basis to evaluate where you're at. Because if you don't have a dream, you'll end up working for somebody that does have a dream.
Excellent. Thanks very much, guys. Definitely pertinent words of advice.
Avi Lévy and Bernard Lévy-Soussan of Ticket911.ca. Thanks for dropping by, guys. Patrick Sullivan from FL on spotting fraud in your business. Thanks again, Patrick. And back next Monday night. Josh will be away, but Michael Newton will be here on Today's Entrepreneur.
With the Hatley Apparel Company.
Excellent. Talking clothes next week on Today's Entrepreneur. See you next Monday night at 7.